Hey, welcome. So today we are diving into a really powerful, honestly life-changing idea. It's this shift from a life where you're constantly trying to earn your place to a life where you just simply belong. We're going to see how this one single change can really free us from this exhausting cycle of anxiety and performance.
So let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of everything. I want you to really think about this for a second. All the things you do, the effort you put into your work, your family, your faith, what's the real fuel behind all of that? Is it a deep sense of love or is it fear?
You know, if we're being honest, for so many of us, the real answer is insecurity. It's this quiet, nagging fear that maybe, just maybe, we're not quite enough. It feels like you're on a treadmill, right? Just running and running, always performing, always trying to prove your worth. And man, is it exhausting.
This whole mindset, it creates what you could call a merit-based prison. See, we think we're building a secure life for ourselves, but what we're actually building is a cage where we have to perform constantly just to feel okay. And as we're about to see, that is a fundamentally unstable foundation to build a life on.
So this prison, it's really built on three pretty poisonous ideas. First, there's the belief that we have to work to earn our security. Then, we think that serving others is really about winning an identity for ourselves, getting a title or a reputation. And finally, we end up performing just to feel like we belong somewhere. Look, that's not freedom. That's the logic of an employee who's terrified of getting fired, not a loved and secure member of the family.
And a life built on that kind of foundation, on earning your way, well, it's just like a house built on sand. Sure, it might look fine when the weather's nice and calm, but it's just not designed to survive the pressure, It's designed to collapse when the storms of life inevitably hit.
But what if there's another way? There is an alternative. We can actually move from that shaky, sandy ground onto an unbreakable foundation. And that foundation is called covenant. Now, don't think of this like a contract that's based on your performance. Think of it as a deep, unbreakable relationship that God Himself starts. It depends completely on His faithfulness, not ours. And this is where the logic gets completely flipped on its head. I mean, listen to this. In the book of Haggai, God says, "I will make you my seal, for I have chosen you." Did you catch the order there? The choosing comes first. It's not about us doing something amazing to get chosen. No, His choice is the starting point for literally everything else.
So, okay, if we're chosen first, then what's our response supposed to be? Well, it's not some kind of fearful obligation. It's this passionate love, described here as strong as death, a vehement flame, a love that no crisis, no many waters can possibly put out. I mean, that's the language of a deep, intimate relationship, not some dry religious duty.
To really get this, really let it sink in, our minds have to do a complete 180. It's a total identity reversal. It's a fundamental shift away from focusing on what we do to finally understanding who we are.
Here it is, the difference in a nutshell. The logic of religion, the one we're so used to, says you have to do all these things in order to become worthy, to become a son. But the logic of covenant says the exact opposite. It says you are a son. You are already worthy because you've been chosen. And now, from that place of total security, you're free to go and do. See the difference?
And to really feel the power of this, you have to understand what the word seal meant back then. In the ancient world, a king's seal, usually on a ring, it wasn't just a signature. It stood for two massive, unshakable realities. First, irrevocable ownership, meaning this belongs to me forever and no one can take it. And second, absolute authority. This carries my full power and backing.
So when God says He makes you His seal, He's essentially making a public declaration to the universe. This person belongs to me. And what that means is that your value, it's not a wage you earn through your performance. It's a gift. It's determined entirely by the one to whom you belong.
Okay, so this is a huge idea, right? But what does this actually look like in our lives? Practically speaking, day to day, how do we start living with this deep sense of being sealed? Because when you get this, it really does change everything.
Well, it leads to three huge practical shifts. First, we move from just going through religious motions, performance, to chasing after real, authentic intimacy. Second, our whole motivation changes. We stop obeying because we're afraid, and we start responding out of love. And finally, we can stop desperately looking for external validation from others because we're building this inner fire of acceptance that can't be put out by anyone's opinion.
And this Right here is where the real security is. Because look, life is turbulent. Storms are going to come. They might take your job, your resources, your sense of stability, but they can never, ever take away your sealed identity. That is locked in. That is irrevocable.
So, how do we make this real? The next step is all about moving this idea from just something we know in our heads to something we feel deep in our hearts. It's about personally deciding to step into this new way of thinking.
So maybe just take a moment and consider making this declaration your own. You can even say it quietly to yourself. I break all ties with a religious system of earning security. I am not an orphan or a slave trying to earn my keep. I am sealed by God. I am chosen. This is the foundational truth we can actually build our entire lives on.
And to really bring this home, here's a challenge for this week. I want you to think about it. What is one thing you are doing, working so hard at, purely to prove your own value or to earn your own security? Just find that one thing. And then, in your own way, just release the need to do it for that reason anymore. Just see what that freedom feels like when you know you are already sealed, already chosen, already enough.